delivery of my B2 Corsair, my version 2. Here it is. A lovely plane. They come with a 3 or 2 bladed prop. They gave me 2 of each. Look at this 3 colour scheme. Part of the Jolly Rogers, flew in the Pacific in World War II. It's even got a 2-dimensional pilot in there, although I'll replace him with a 3D print chopped off at the head and shoulders. Only adds a gram. This is the usual sort of thing that Volantex and SonikRC produce, the 400mm Warbird series, and I really love these. I've got 4 Spitfires, 4 Mustangs, there's 3 of them there, 1 in storage. This Mustang in the middle I converted and repainted from a version 1 Mustang, the red tail, and that's the version 2 Mustang there. Also on my radio control shelf are 2 P40s. The middle one is an RAF Kitty Hawk I made from the version on the right, which is the P40 Warhawk, and one of my 4 Spitfires on the left. Over this side, apart from my 2 Sport Cub 500s, I've got some more 400mm Warbirds. The 0 I repainted and made it into a light grey colour. The other 2 are standard. This is the Volantex box that this particular model come in, but you may get it under a different badge name. And you check there to see which model is inside. It came with 2 400mAh batteries, I call them power packs. My Mustang B2 came with 500s. Also get 2 2-bladed props, 2 3-bladed props, 1 is on the aircraft, and some undercarriage and a charger. Instructions too. Now these version 2 models, I think I'm correct in saying they have some sort of telemetry in that if you're running out of range it beeps 4 times and tells you to return. If you're running low on power it beeps twice, and that's an indication that you need to get that plane home. Or if you're just flying it in the field you're in, it'll drop out the sky and land in the field. It's not really going to crash. These planes are about 60 grams or so, even with the power pack. It has an inspection hatch there for the servos for the elevator and rudder. It also has the servo there for the ailerons, so it's easy to get to. This is the battery holder just there, and there's a little hatch here you can prise off carefully with a screwdriver, either of these, and this one gets to the gearbox and motor in case you ever need to replace them. Now I've had these planes 2 years, 16 models, 160, 150 flight days, and I haven't had to replace a motor or gearbox yet. In fact, props is the only thing I've had to replace, and you can even glue them with some Yoo-hoo glue just to contact it, and then araldite just to seal it. It doesn't even throw it out of kilter, it flies quite happily. And the colour scheme on this one though, isn't that nice? I was holding off getting this version 2 one. I'm not sure why really. I think they captured the lines of the Corsair extremely nicely. Most of these Warbirds have the main wing slightly to the rear. It obviously helps the model fly. The real planes had much heavier noses since that's where the engine was. And although the motor is here, it's not as relatively heavy as the engine in the real planes. So the main wings are just a little further rearward. I can forgive it for that though, if it flies nicely, and these usually do. Now, it has 3 modes here, the usual beginner, mid and expert mode. Expert shuts off all of the gyros, you're on your own. I find the Mustang version 1 is the greatest flyer in that mode. And I can fly these planes for over a minute if I really have to like that, but I usually prefer flying in mid or beginner mode. They're just the 2 stabilised modes, and beginner mode restricts the amount of control, so you can't actually do a manual loop or roll. In mid mode though you can do a manual loop. the elevator does have full authority. In the expert mode you can do a manual loop or roll, so you can flick between the modes. You can, if you want to do a roll, just quickly flick to expert, do your roll, and then flick back again to one of the other two stabilised modes. They also have auto levelling. There are some trims there. If you're in expert mode you can use them to trim it up. I never do actually. I've never needed to, and the plane will auto level, and they just seem to go so nicely. They're a fantastic little invention. They call them toys on the adverts, but they're actually very sophisticated little models with very clever little onboard gyros and, if you like, almost mini computers that are self-leveling this plane and help it fly. It will still hit things. It can't sense that there's a tree in front of it or anything like that. But for the money, what do you expect? And really, you should fly it. So I think they do more than is necessary for them. Does that look a nice plane? Let's compare it to V1. There is version 1. You can actually see the V2 version is a much nearer shade of blue. In fact, I would say that is correct. This one is not quite right, and also it's got a nicer finish. The cockpit on version 1 is solid foam. On version 2 there's a clear canopy, and there's the three-bladed prop on version 2, although of course the Corsair, as far as I'm aware, had 4 blades. I suppose you could put a Mustang prop on it, but then the spinner wouldn't be quite right. So they've got the details even nicer on version 2, I think. Somewhere here, there he is my pilot, and number 3 of the Jolly Rogers was flown by Jim Streig. Now, he did have a moustache and a beard, I think, at one point, so I might model that onto my little pilot, as he doesn't have them at the moment. And I've also got my phone number on the other side of this. I glue that to the underneath of the plane so that I stand a chance of getting it returned if ever it gets lost. I enjoy to look up the history of the planes, and number 3 was flown by Jim Streig. It was part of the United States Navy Pacific Flying Fleet, flew as part of the Jolly Rogers. $52 grams, power pack 63 grams. No3 Corsair pilot. I've added an instrument cluster, painted the seat black right at the back, just a few little details. You could add some of his victories here if you wanted to. There are other details you could add. I'm happy as it is. I think it looks really smart. I've used some reference photos and there it is, my second Corsair, the V2 radio controlled model. I really like this one, pleased how it has turned out.